Welcome to the NavBlue PBS Bidding Web App tutorial. Alaska's Flight Attendant Group has utilized the NavBlue PBS program since 2007 to bid for their monthly schedules. NavBlue is a wholly owned subsidiary of Airbus. Their other North American major airline customers include Delta, JetBlue, Air Canada, and Hawaiian, as well as many international and regional carriers such as Horizon Air. NavBlue's website is compatible with your IMD and some tablets and smartphones with a screen measuring a minimum of 5.5 inches. However, bidding is much easier on a laptop, especially when using a mouse with a scroll wheel. Scrolling down pages using a smartphone, tablet, or touchpad can be finicky. Compatible devices include any laptop or desktop computer running on current Windows or Apple operating systems. Android operating systems may work, but it's not supported by NavBlue. This means they don't test their program for use on that operating system. Smartphones and tablets using the most current version of their operating system should work with the WebApp. An exception are older devices. For example, iPads over 5 years old may not be usable. If your tablet no longer receives updates, then it's considered obsolete and is no longer supported by the manufacturer. A browser is the application you use to connect to the internet. Supported browsers are Chrome, Safari, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. However, we do recommend not to use Internet Explorer if at all possible. If you insist on using Microsoft products, then please use Microsoft's new Edge browser instead. As always, check the PBS info page for the latest list of compatible devices. So what's the difference between ClassBid and WebApp? The main difference is the design, how the program looks, and the location of the different features and functions used in ClassBid. What's the same? How your bids are processed and awarded, the terminology used, the function, bid lines, bid rules, and pairings are all the same. Both versions are live. Any new features? Well, WebApp has the added ability to export pairings from a pairing search into your bid without having to manually type each pairing number. WebApp also has an analyze feature that can show you line by line what you're bidding for. It's a great tool to double check that you've correctly entered the bid line as intended.
Your login and password for the NavBlue web app is exactly the same as your NavBlue ClassBid old login and password. You can access the PBS website through the in-flight webpage link or by going directly to the URL. Don't forget your password. Enter your email address at the Help button on the upper right corner for self-resets. Alaska's IT department will not help you with password resets. They must be done by the PBS administrator. Email pbs.qa@alaskaair.com for password assistance. When logging into WebApp on NavBlue, you'll first see the synchronization box. The loading process is automated and the files loading are shown on the progress bar. The larger the base, the longer it takes for the files to load. With a high-speed connection via Wi-Fi, this should take 30 seconds or less. A cell phone using your data plan, such as your IMD, may take longer, even with a Wi-Fi connection. When finished, the program opens automatically. 2 months of data were loaded, the current month and a previous month's bids, and reasons report. Unlike ClassBid, the old version, that loads most information after you log in, WebApp loads most information during your login. NavBlue recommends that you occasionally clear the memory cache on your web browser. This is because old files will begin to collect in the cache, reducing your browser's efficiency or trapping old data. It is good practice to do this before bidding each month. Clearing your cache is required if there has been a PBS version update. If you don't, your browser may get stuck using the older version, not allowing the program to properly load or for you to take advantage of new features that are part of the update. For help with clearing your browser cache, check the PBS info page, or try doing a web search for the steps involved in clearing the cache on your specific browser. There's probably even a short YouTube video on how to do it. It's quite easy.
The first page to open is the info page, showing your personal information about the month's bidding, and links to training material. Hovering over the various buttons with your mouse or touchpad cursor will usually tell you what that button does. This is not the case with tablets or smartphones, as there is no cursor. We recommend that you initially use the program on a laptop or desktop computer first when possible. In the upper right-hand corner of the info page, you will find these icons. Sync data. This allows you to restart the logon process. Select the status box to add previous month's bids if needed and reload the program from the beginning. The help icon will help you access files, password change, email setup for resetting your password if forgotten, personal logon record, and program version. The log out button. You should always use this when exiting the program. Otherwise, you won't be warned if there's an unsubmitted bid. The green dot indicates that you are connected to the internet. When using a device with a smaller screen, such as a tablet or smartphone, it might be necessary to touch the gray tab on the left to bring into view the missing navigation tabs. You'll see this too when under the Pairings and Bids tab on devices with smaller screen footprints. You may also see it on a desktop computer with the browser zoom setting set larger than 100% or if you've reduced the size of your browser window.
At the Calendar tab, you'll see trips awarded for the bid month. This does not show any traded trips after trading opens. When bidding for a new month, the last week of the prior month will show the actual schedule. The upper left-hand corner shows today's date. On the upper right-hand side, you will see multiple icons. The print icon allows you to print your monthly calendar. The export icon allows you to export this calendar to Outlook. The toggle calendar view icon allows you to change the calendar view from a vertical display to a traditional calendar display. In both views, you can see pairing details by clicking the Pairing Details button, which looks like a box with a line in the corner.
You'll likely spend a lot of time on both the Pairings tab as well as the Bidding tab. When clicking on Pairings in the left menu of the tabs, the Pairings search will open. Initially, all of the pairings in your base will appear. On the right is the list of our preferences where you can filter on the pairings you're viewing. If the right panel is not showing, click on the Filter button. Quick hint, in larger bases, the pairings may be slow to load. If the pairings don't appear, click back on the Info tab and then again on the Pairings tab. Buttons on the left side top of the window allow customization of the viewable pairings with the change order buttons. The Enable Add Bids Mode button allows you to export selected pairings onto your bid. You can also select all pairings, show pairing reports, and print the pairing list. Now onto the buttons found on the right side top of the window. The filter icon. Keep in mind that the filter icon only appears if the Pairing Preferences panel on the right is not showing due to screen size. Dates View icon, Sync Data icon, Help icon, Log Out. You can sort how the pairings are displayed by various parameters. The default setting is pairing number, but you can change the order that they are displayed. At the eyeball, you can personalize what information is displayed about each pairing on the list. Allowance is unchecked as we don't have that bid preference. To change or filter the pairings displayed, use the Pairing Preferences to the right. You'll see all of our bid preferences. If you don't see this list on the right side of your page, click that filter icon. Each time you click on a preference, you're being more specific about pairings displayed. To add one more, click on Back To. Click on Apply when finishing adding preferences, and to start over, click Reset. When filtering using the Pairing Preference menu, you may need to check on the preference you want and click on the preference again to open the submenu. The same is true when you're using this within the Bid tab. After clicking on Apply, you'll see only the desired pairings based on the parameters you've entered. The search parameters you've entered are showing on the upper gray bar. To see pairing details for all of the displayed pairings, click on the check mark in the upper left to select all pairings. This checks the circle to the left of the pairing number. Printing a condensed view of your pairing search is similar to the old version of NavBlue ClassBid. You simply would just press on the print icon after this step. To show your pairings expanded, click the Show Pairing Report button. You'll see all pairings displayed with more detail. Or, if you want to view just one pairing, click on the pairing number itself, and the pairing details will open below it. You can print out pairings by clicking on Show Pairing Report. Select the pairing numbers you want to view by clicking on the circles next to the pairing numbers, or by selecting all pairings as demonstrated on the previous slide. Then click on Show Pairing Report. Pairings will now be shown in detail. The Print and Close buttons are in the upper right-hand corner. Keep in mind, pairings might have a different value for bidding than for pay. SIT pay and some trip MPRs are not included when bidding. You have the ability to transfer a pairing directly onto your bid from the pairing search by clicking on Enable Add Bids mode. The Award button will place a new line into your bid. To request a pairing number, click on the circle next to the pairing number, then the Award button. The new award line will be placed below whichever line was last selected on your bid. To add the departure date, click on the blue circled date as well. If exporting a pairing number, you'll likely need to go back and edit that line to add positions. Multiple pairings on one bid line are not read in order from left to right. They will be awarded randomly. You'll probably want to only bid one pairing number per line. The Avoid button works the same way by placing a new line into your bid to avoid a particular pairing number. Again, the new line will be placed after whichever line is selected on your bid. We recommend to use this particular option very selectively. For example, if you're wanting to avoid all turns, you wouldn't use this to avoid every single turn by pairing number. Instead, you'd create an avoid line stating that rather than avoiding the specific pairing numbers. To export the exact language used in your pairing search directly onto your bid, click on the box left of your pairing search parameters in the upper gray bar. It now shows a red check mark. After, click on the Award button. That line will be exported into the pre-selected location on your bid. Check out the video training for more information on using these features. Do not overuse these features. Not bidding realistically can be detrimental to your bid results, causing denial mode or SLG. Do not exceed more than 10 pairing numbers per line. Also, keep it reasonable and don't bid for dozens or hundreds of pairings. Do not overuse Avoid by pairing number. It could force your bid into secondary line generation or SLG with potentially disastrous results.
To work on your bid, you will need to click your Bids tab. If you already have a submitted bid, you may see your bid already entered. These are some of the icons you will find on your bid page. In the upper left side, you will find the Buddy Bid box, Current and Default tabs, and the term Bid Modified, which should remind you to submit. On the upper right side, you have the Change Month display, Delete All icons, and it really does delete it all, the Print icon, Submit icon, and Save icon. Note the difference between the Save and the Submit buttons. Saving is not the same as submitting your bid. The reason there is a Save button is for use when working on bids when offline. You must later submit the bid when back online. We only recommend using the Submit button. The upper right circle shows green when you're connected to the internet. The WebApp has color-coded bid lines. These color-coded lines help to make things stand out more clearly. This can also help to point out when a bid line is in the wrong order in your bid. Bid groups are blue-gray, set conditions are light blue, prefer offs are goldenrod, avoids are orange, awards are green, instructions are blue. Just a reminder that the program reads your bids from the top down.
You have two areas in which to enter your bid preferences, the current bid and the default bid. Everyone should always have a default bid entered. If you forget to bid one month, you'll be happy you did. Submitting your current bid is only available during that month's bid period. You can modify and submit your default bid outside of the bid period. Your default bid will remain in the system unless you change bases. If you change bases or do a temporary base swap, you'll need to re-enter a new default bid. The program will only read one bid during the award process, either the current bid or the default bid. It will not skip from one to the other. If you've entered even a single line in your current bid, then the program will not read your default bid. Do not enter even a single line into your current bid if you want the program to read your default bid. This happens to a few people every month. Their line award was built based off of the current bid after the final award pairings line. You can work on your bids when not connected to the internet, but you would only be able to save that bid. You would still need to submit the bid when you're back online. Current bids entered prior to bid opening on the 5th are erased when the new bid month opens, so any saved current bid will be gone when the new month opens for bidding. We do not recommend to use the save feature on PBS website unless you fully understand this option. Always take care in bidding early. We've had instances of people using the wrong month's pairings because they bid early and didn't make sure the new month's pairings had been loaded into the program. Consequently, when bidding by pairing number, they were awarded completely different trips than they'd expected. Pairing numbers are reused every month and are completely different from one month to the next. We're going to take you through starting a bid. Our example will be around a pairings bid. When starting on a new bid, you must first select bid group. 3 options show after clicking on Add Bid Group. Pairing bid group. You'd like a line of only pairings. Award reserve. Don't even try to build a line of pairings, you only want to be on reserve. And reserve bid group. After entering this, you can enter your reserve bid preferences. After making your selection, click on the Apply button. Now that you've entered a line in your bid group, the page looks a bit different. Your first bid line, Pairing Bid Group, now appears at line 1. New buttons have appeared and the bid preference editor is showing on the right side. Click the Close button on the right to close so that you can continue entering more bids. Note the buttons to the right on your first bid line. You'll be using them to analyze your bids, add a new bid line, or edit an existing line. There are often 2 and sometimes more ways of accomplishing the same thing by either using one of the buttons at the top of the bid or by clicking on the hamburger menu at the individual bid line. Here are those buttons. Cut, copy, paste, delete, move up, move down, edit, analyze, insert above, insert below. When clicking on the Add button at line 1, the bid preference editor opens again to the right. Now that you're in the Edit mode, the Add button at line 1 has been replaced by the Edit button.
Make your selections on the right. Add bid group, prefer off, avoid, award, instructions, set conditions, waive. Here we select the Prefer Off button. By clicking on the Back To button, you can return to the previous menu, adding more and more information to a bid line. When finished, click on the Apply button, then close. After clicking on Apply and Close, the new line is now finalized and the Add button has reappeared in place of the Edit button. To add another bid line, you can either click on the Add button or click on the hamburger button at that row and choose Insert Above or Insert Below, or use the Insert buttons at the top.
You'll continue adding more bid lines, occasionally hitting the Submit button. Remember, hitting the Save button will not submit your bids. It is only for use when working on your bids when offline. You'll still need to get online to submit your bid if you want to upload it to the PBS server to process your line award. In the bid example here, it says bids modified because it has not yet been submitted. Click on the Submit occasionally as you work on your bids to submit what you've entered so far. If you lose your internet connection, you'll have saved any work you've done up until that point if you occasionally hit Submit. You can submit your bid as many times as you want. There isn't a limit.
If you wish to highlight multiple lines in the bid, just click on the left side of the bid line on the line number itself to highlight the line. Do the same for the additional lines, highlighting all the ones you wish. This is helpful if wanting to delete multiple lines all at once, or to copy, cut, and then paste multiple lines to a different location in the bid. You can use the hamburger menu or the Cut, Copy, Paste buttons at the top of the bids. Please note, the Paste button may not appear until you actually copy something.
Copy, paste, and edit are useful when wanting to repeat lines, maybe even getting less specific as the program moves down through your bid lines. Rather than reinventing that bid line each time, highlight the desired lines, then click Copy. Then click on the line where you want the new line to appear after and click Paste. Next, edit the new lines. Edit is found at the hamburger menu. We don't recommend to use the Save option. People have saved their bid but never gone back to submit it before bids close. Consequently, no bid was then used for their line construction. Or they've entered a bid in their current bid prior to bids opening and then saved that bid. But when bidding opens for that month, the current bid is always completely blank. That saved bid is now gone. Just occasionally hit that Submit button as you enter your bid preferences and make sure you've submitted one last time before logging out. One of the features NavBlue WebApp has is Bid Analyzer. Click on the Analyze button at line 1 or select Analyze at the hamburger menu at an individual line. The pairings listed are a match for all of your bids and could potentially be awarded. You may see pairings you did not ask for. They could be awarded at the auto-generated award pairings at the bottom of everybody's bid. Be sure to hit the Submit button prior to using the analyzer if you've made changes to your bid that need submitting. At the Stats Filter button, you can tailor the list of pairings shown based on your individual preference. Clicking on Show Stats changes the display from the bid lines to a list of the number of times a match is found between the bids entered and the actual number of occurrences. You can show details about a checkmarked pairing on the displayed list. You can also change to Date View with this icon. And to close the analyzer, click the X or Close button.
You can submit your default bid at any time. The default bid will be used to process your award only if there is nothing entered by you in your current bid, meaning no line 1 appears in your current bid. If you haven't made any changes to your bid since your last submission, your Submit button will be grayed out. Having bid groups allows you to enter multiple independent bids for both pairing lines and reserve lines. Every line in a bid group must be able to be honored and a legal line be constructed, or the program moves on to the next bid group. There must be an exit from each group except the very last one. An exit would be an Else Start Next bid group, add a Prefer Off or a Void line, or Clear Schedule and Start Next bid group as the last line of the group. This particular bid forces the program to build you a reserve line if the entire pairing group could not be honored. The Clear Schedule at line 8 triggers moving to the next bid group if the entire bid could not be honored, directing the program to the next bid group at line 9. Line 9 says to force the program to the reserve bid starting at line 10 and not to build you a line of pairings from this point forward. Line 10 begins the reserve bids. The final bid group cannot contain either Else Start Next bid group or Clear Schedule and Start Next bid group. That's because there's no next bid group entered to go to, and your schedule would be built at the auto-generated award pairings or start reserve, if a reserve bid, at the bottom. Every month, someone accidentally enters a bid group in their current bid, activating that bid when their intention was to actually use their default bid. Don't make this mistake. The program will not read the default bid if a current bid was entered. Check every month to confirm that your current bid is empty if planning to use your default bid. The bid example here shows the current bid has been activated. Line 1 appears. This bid would be processed if it was submitted. The default bid will not be read. To buddy bid, enter your buddy's employee number in the box in the upper left corner. First, click on the X to activate the buddy bid box. See how the field in the box turns white and a check mark appears? Enter the buddy's employee number. If a valid number, it will show in green. If incorrect, it will show in red. Note the check mark in the box. This last step is important. Click on the checkbox again to lock the buddy number. The red X reappears. Then submit the bid.
The process for reserve bidding is the same as for line holders. Bid preferences appearing on the right side of the page after selecting Add Bid Group. In this example, we'll click on Reserve Bid Group. After selecting this, we click on Apply and Close to open this new bid group. Please note the program will still attempt to award you a line of pairings if at all possible when beginning your bid with Reserve Bid Group. If you do not want it to attempt to build you a line of pairings as you prefer a reserve line, you must begin your bid with the first line as Award Reserve, then Reserve Bid Group, and then add your bid preferences. Now click on the plus sign to begin adding lines to your bid. The reserve bid options will appear. In our example, we will select Prefer Off. You can add your reserve bids as desired. Your options are Prefer Off, Set Conditions, and Wave Lines. You'll also see Add Bid Group in case you wish to enter multiple groups of bids. As always, click on the Apply and Close buttons to finish adding a line to your bid. Wave and some set condition bids will automatically go to the top. When finished, your reserve bid might look something like this. Don't forget to click on the Submit button when you're finished. As mentioned earlier, if you do not want the program to attempt awarding you a line of pairings but would rather be on reserve, you'd begin your bid with Award Reserve. Simply select Add Bid Group, click on Award Reserve, then Apply and Close. Your award reserve would need to be followed by the bid group of Reserve Bid Group in order to instruct it to your preferences.
Do you ever wonder, why didn't I get what I wanted? Why did I get that pairing? At the Results tab, you can find your awarded pairings at the top, and below is the Reasons report that shows the reasons why a line could or could not be honored. The first thing to do if having technical difficulties with the program is to make certain you are using an approved web browser and device. The PBS website is certified for the Safari, Chrome, Firefox, and Edge browsers only. The Internet Explorer browser may work, but is being phased out in favor of Edge. Android devices may work, but are not supported by NavBlue. Next, you may need to clear your cache or history on your web browser. This usually resolves error messages when trying to log on to PBS or if the program is not displaying pages properly. For example, the calendar looks wrong or city codes display improperly. Safari users may need to do this more than once. Instruction for clearing your browser cache can be found by doing an online search or on the PBS info page. We recommend clearing your cache every month before starting to work on your bids. This should preempt any issues and is important if there was a PBS program update. Notifications of updates will be posted on the info page every month when one occurs. Clearing your cache after a program update may be necessary to see the most up-to-date current version of the program. If still having difficulties, send an email to pbs.qa@alaskaair.com. Do not contact the Alaska IT department for help. They will merely send an email to the same mailbox, and it will delay us getting back to you. Many questions are answered on the info page of NavBlue. More questions and information can be found on the PBS QA SharePoint site. Access to that is found through the in-flight webpage, Schedule and Bidding, Line Bidding, then PBS Help. Please do not contact individual members of the PBS committee for help. Sending your questions to our PBS email address will get you a faster response as they all monitor the email inbox. NavBlue WebApp allows performance improvements and updates regularly. Some future updates include possible cache clearing reduction, improvements on the Analyze feature, and possible Android support, which is a frequent request.